Hello and welcome to our tutorial on using the Stellarium program. To start out with, let's begin by locking our toolbars. If you scroll over the one at the bottom and the one at the side, you will see these small arrows. If you click on them, they turn to boxes. Now that our toolbars are locked, let's go over some of the tools. First, let's look at the clock. You'll notice that they have today's date and the time going by. We can do some fun things with the clock. For instance, maybe we want to look at the night sky. So let's speed up the clock and we can click it multiple times to make it go faster. So now that we're in the evening, we can have a look at the sky. Let's see. Let's start with our date and time window tool over here. Perhaps you're interested in knowing what the sky looked like the day you were born. So for instance, I was born 1991, June 12th. Now just press exit, and there's what the night sky would look like on my birthday. So that's pretty cool. Now let's look at some of our tools along the bottom here. The first tool we'll start with is these two grid options. We have an equatorial grid and an azimuthal grid. Both are helpful and show us different things about the night sky. So if we put on the equatorial grid, that shows us kind of some chunks, and if we go right up to the top, you'll notice that it's a little bit off center because remember, our planet is tilted. See how it's much closer here in the northern direction? If I were to put on the azimuth grid, you'd notice that its center is up here. So let's turn off this one. And that's looking straight up. You get this point there, which is kind of cool. And so you can use these two grids to tell you where you might find, let's say, a star. So you could say the Arcturus star, 240 degrees, or along the 20th degree in an equatorial grid. Now let's turn off our grids because they take up some space in the sky. The next section are to do with the Earth. So the first one here is called ground. Now if I turn off the ground, it's going to delete the Earth. And so now we can look and see, hey, look, I looked right through the Earth to see what was below. And if we turn on our grids again, you can see the lower and the top. But let's put our Earth back in place. Now, you might have noticed here we have our cardinal points, northwest, north, southeast, south. And so you might say, well, there's not very much interesting things to look into the night sky on the northern side. But if you turn around to the south, we have a very nice picture of our Milky Way. You can turn those off if you don't like them, but I prefer to have them on. And the last thing here is the atmosphere. So if you notice this sort of haze right here, that's what our atmosphere is doing. It's the light pollution, and it's stopping all of the night sky, the light and the pictures from coming through. So we can go ahead and turn that off. And then we get a much better view of all the stars, and we can see even some of the fainter ones. Now, perhaps you say, well, Jillian, I wasn't actually born in Saskatoon. Maybe you were born somewhere else. So let's go to our location window. Perhaps you were born in Delhi. Where's my option? Oh. There we go, in India. Look at that. Now, turn the atmosphere on again, you'll say, oh wait, it's daytime in Delhi. That's no good. So let's speed up our clock again by clicking it several times. There we have nighttime in Delhi now. I'm going to turn off our atmosphere again. Very cool. So the next one here, this just kind of shows you what the image of space looks like. I'll let you guys play with that yourself, but I don't think those tools are really helpful for viewing anything different. But what I will show you is exoplanets. So look at all these new green dots that appear. So these exoplanets are planets that are found outside of our solar system. And they have their own solar systems, which is pretty cool. And so you can click on one, and it can tell you a little bit of information about it. But the really cool thing to look for is, where are we? You can see what year it was discovered. And it'll tell you how big it is and other things like that. You can also, we have a toggle for meteor showers right now. And you might be like, oh, look at these little guys. Very cool. But in North America, we know the Perseid meteor showers. So let's have a look at those, because those come in August. So let's go back to Saskatoon. There we go. Oops, I didn't click on it. My bad. And let's have a look-see for our Perseid meteor showers. Oh, I almost forgot. We can't look for our Perseid meteor showers if we're in June. So let's change our date. Boom, boom. August. Here we go. Ah, there they are. Way up high. So every year you can actually go see these meteor showers, and they're quite fun. So if you look up the dates and times, you can find those. And I'm going to get rid of the ground again. Now we know that if you're in Saskatoon, you have to look to the northwest to see the Perseid meteor showers. Isn't that cool? Alright, so now let's move on to some of the cool ones. Constellations. So these are these three buttons down here. So right now when we turn on our constellations, they'll show you what some of these things look like. But they don't have names. So we'll turn on names. So you can see here I've focused on Orion the Hunter. You can see he has his bow, and if we zoom in, his bright belt, 1, 2, 3 stars, and those are easy to find in the night sky. And we have to remember, we just look south. Now, they have an artist rendition that you can also overlay. So if you see something, like let's, for example, this one here, Aries, you may be like, that just looks like a line. But, you now see it's kind of like a bull. Pretty cool, huh? All right. So those are our constellations. Now you notice that these are all Greek. These are all stories of Greek people. So maybe you're like, oh, that's not so interesting. Let's have a look-see in this one called the Sky and Viewing Options window. We're going to choose this one here, Star Lore. Now as you can see, we have it right now on Western. And then it'll tell you a little bit about the lore here, and you can read them, and they have some links that you can go to. But now let's say you're interested maybe in knowing some Norse mythology. So you can click on that one, And then you can look at those ones. So you might write down Azar, the Azar battlefield, and you'll be able to say, okay, it's in the south, because we look at our cardinal point. And then you might say, okay, it's made up of which stars? Let's have a look-see. Beta Tau. Isn't that a nice name? And then once you go home, you can do some research about the story that might be connected to that mythology. Maybe perhaps you wanted to know some indigenous mythology. Well, here's the Navajo. And let's see what kind of constellations they have. Oh, the first slim one. A lizard. Some males, and here's the female. That's kind of neat, huh? Or if you were to look at the indigenous people of New Zealand, the Maori people, you might be like, well, hang on. There's like hardly anything in the sky. We have to remember that the Maori live in New Zealand and they are on the other side of the world. Oh, look, there's a few more. Cool, huh? All right, let's put the Earth back. Let's turn off our constellations. And now let's have some fun. Okay, so from our viewing here, let's look at the landscape one. Now this is going to be what shows here in the foreground. So let's say we want to go and have it look like the moon. Well, that's pretty cool, huh? There's an astronaut. I think we're inside a crater. But maybe you say, I want to be on the actual moon. So let's go back to our location window. And you see here they've got some options for planets. And we want to go to the moon. Where's my M's? Mars, moon. There we go. So now we're on the moon. Isn't that neat? But I'd be like, hey, where's the Earth? So let's use our search window. So you can type in objects, you can type in stars, galaxies, all this kind of thing, and it will find it for you. Now, I'm looking at the ground, so let's get rid of our ground. Ah, there's the Earth. Real cool. So let's zoom in. So we're on the moon, looking at Earth. Let's speed up time. So from our position on the moon, we can watch the Earth, and we're actually going around the Earth. But perhaps you're like, oh, that's not very interesting, because our Earth only has one moon. So let's go put ourselves on Phobos, which is one of the moons of Mars. Now we have to search. Let's search for Mars. We want to look at Mars. Holy smokes! It's right through that planet. There we go. Now we're looking at Mars. Let's speed it up and see what happens. Oh, that's too fast. I'm gonna get sick. Now here's Mars's other moon, Deimos. So you can see how you might start to feel a little sick watching this. Now you notice the names here are still our star lore from the Maori. If we want to change it back to our Western, we'll notice the Western names are now here. So we have the Sun, we have Mercury here, oh, there's Earth. Very cool, huh? But let's say you want a better view of the whole solar system. So let's move our location to the Sun. Now we're on the Sun, but this doesn't look right. It still looks like a moon. So here we go, there's a Sun option. There, super bright on the Sun. Okay, let's search for our Earth, our good friend. Oh, get rid of the sun. There's our Earth. So let's watch our Earth go around the sun for a bit. Let me turn off these cardinal points because they're confusing. So you can see how Mercury is actually traveling a lot faster than our Earth, and same with Venus, because their orbits are a lot smaller, and so they move faster. Pretty cool, huh? Alright, so that's all I've got for you. Hopefully you now know how to look for meteor showers and exoplanets, how to change the atmosphere and get rid of the Earth so that you can, or the ground, so that you can see through to some far stuff. How to look at constellations. Remember, the constellations are best viewed from Earth, because when you turn them on now, it just looks like a mess. And now to use the location window to change your location. How to change the day and time, as well as how to look at the different star lore. Thanks for listening.